If you're new to insurance restoration, an Xactimate estimate can look like a wall of codes, quantities, unit prices, depreciation, and line items that only an adjuster could love. Then somebody tells you, "We need to supplement this claim." And now the question becomes, supplement what, exactly? Here's the simple answer. Xactimate is a tool used to build detailed property repair estimates. A roofing supplement is not a second claim, and it is not a magic way to make an insurance company pay more. It is a documented request to correct or add legitimate work that is missing, measured incorrectly, priced differently, based on supportable information, or otherwise not reflected in the carrier's current scope. In this beginner's guide, we're going to break down what Xactimate actually does, how to read a roofing estimate, how supplements are built, what documentation matters, what a supplement can and cannot change, and the beginner mistakes that create unnecessary delays. Xactimate is property claims estimating software from Verisk. Contractors, restoration professionals, and claims adjusters use it to create detailed repair estimates using sketches, line items, quantities, pricing, notes, photographs, and reports. Instead of writing one broad line that says, "Replace the roof," an Xactimate estimate breaks the project into individual operations. You may see separate items for removing shingles, installing shingles, underlayment, starter, ridge cap, flashing, vents, pipe boots, disposal, steep slope work, and other operations that apply to that specific project. Each line item has a description and quantity, and Xactimate line items can include material, labor, and equipment components. Before adding another item, understand what the existing item already includes. Xactimate also uses price lists that can be selected by geographic area, including city or zip code. Labor and material costs are not identical from one market to another, so the selected price list matters. But remember something important. Xactimate is an estimating platform. It does not decide insurance coverage. A line item existing in Xactimate does not automatically mean the homeowner's policy covers it, and adding an item to an estimate does not guarantee the carrier will approve it. Before you can write a good supplement, you need to understand the estimate you already have. Do not look only at the grand total. Start with the scope. What roof area did the carrier measure? What quantities did they use? What materials and operations are included? What was removed? What is being replaced? What accessories are listed? What labor operations are included? What price list was used? Are there notes attached to important line items? And does the estimate include a sketch that matches the actual structure? Xactimate reports can include line item details, summaries, and sketches. The total is only the result. The scope tells you how they got there. Your real question is, does this estimate accurately describe the legitimate work required at this property? A supplement begins when there is a legitimate difference between the current estimate and the supported scope of work. Maybe the roof measurement is wrong. Maybe the carrier estimate includes 30 squares, but the measurement report supports 32. Maybe a damaged pipe boot is visible in the photographs but is not listed. Maybe starter, ridge cap, flashing, ventilation, or another necessary component is absent. Maybe specialty work requires a bid. Maybe an applicable building code requirement creates additional necessary work, subject to the policy and local requirements. Maybe the available documentation supports a different material or labor cost. The supplement takes those differences and presents them in an organized way. Insurers themselves recognize supplements as a way to provide estimates or information supporting additional repair costs that were not included in the original estimate. For example, additional damage discovered during repairs or differences between a contractor's estimate and the insurer's estimate. The goal is not to create the biggest possible estimate. The goal is to create the most accurate, supportable estimate for the legitimate covered work. A professional supplement should answer one simple question for every requested change. Why is this item here? Here is the workflow in plain English. Step 1. Get the carrier's current estimate. Step 2. Gather the available evidence, roof measurements, photographs, claim information, invoices, reports, scope notes, specialty bids, and code references when relevant. Step 3. Compare the carrier's scope with the documented project line by line. Step 4. Identify legitimate differences. Step 5. Build or revise the Xactimate estimate using the appropriate quantities, operations, pricing information, and supporting notes. Step 6. Organize the supporting documentation so the reviewer can understand why each requested change is there. Step 7. Submit the supplement through the appropriate claim process and respond to reasonable requests for clarification. Good supplement writing requires more than knowing codes. You need to understand roofing, measurements, documentation, and the actual job in front of you. If you run a roofing company or manage a restoration sales team, subscribe to the channel. We break down Xactimate, supplements, insurance changes, and the practical issues that affect your jobs. Let's make this practical. Suppose the carrier estimate allows for the main shingle replacement, but your review shows several legitimate differences. The carrier measured 30 squares. Your measurement report supports 32. The existing roof has documented ridge vent that must be replaced, but it is not in the carrier scope. Photographs show damaged pipe boots that are also missing. And there is a necessary operation supported by the actual project conditions that is not reflected in the current estimate. Now you have something specific to review. You are not saying, please add more money. You are saying, here is the quantity difference, here is the measurement, here is the damaged component, here are the photographs, here is the operation we believe reflects the necessary work. That turns a vague disagreement about money into a documented comparison about scope. That is the basic idea behind a roofing supplement. A strong supplement should make it easy for another person to follow your reasoning. If you are requesting a quantity change, provide the measurement. If you are requesting a damaged component, provide clear photographs. If specialty work is involved, include the bid or invoice when appropriate. If you are requesting a code-related item, identify the applicable requirement and explain why it applies to that specific project. If access, disposal, or another labor operation is necessary, document the condition creating the need. Xactimate allows notes and images to be attached to line items, so the estimate itself can be connected to supporting evidence. If your crew discovers something during tear-off that was not visible during the initial inspection, photograph it before new material covers it. Capture both context and close-up detail. Good documentation does not guarantee approval. But poor documentation makes a legitimate request much harder to evaluate. This part is critical. A supplement cannot rewrite the insurance policy. It cannot turn actual cash value coverage into replacement cost value coverage. It cannot erase the homeowner's deductible. It cannot make valid non-recoverable depreciation recoverable. It cannot create coverage for excluded damage. And it cannot guarantee that every requested line item will be approved. Insurers specifically warn that certain costs can remain outside coverage even when a supplement is submitted, including deductibles and some forms of depreciation or upgrades. Coverage comes from the policy and applicable requirements. The supplement's job is narrower. Document legitimate scope and cost differences within the claim. If the policy does not provide a certain coverage, adding more detail to an Xactimate estimate does not manufacture that coverage. But if covered work is legitimately missing or incorrect, a supported supplement gives the carrier something specific to review. Mistake number 1. Supplementing from memory instead of reviewing the carrier estimate line by line. Mistake number 2. Adding an item without evidence showing why it applies. Mistake number 3. Assuming every roof uses the same line items. A steep roof, a simple low-slope section, a solar-equipped house, and a roof with unusual flashing conditions are not the same project. Mistake number 4. Assuming Xactimate pricing automatically settles every cost disagreement. Xactimate provides structured estimating and geographic price lists, but real claim review can still involve project-specific documentation, bids, policy terms, carrier review, and actual conditions. Mistake number 5. Waiting until the job is finished to document conditions that will be covered up during construction. Once the new roof is installed, some of your best evidence may be gone. If you want supplements to become easier, build a repeatable process. Before production, save the carrier estimate and roof measurements. Organize your inspection photos. Review the scope line by line. Flag anything that needs clarification. During production, photograph legitimate conditions that were not visible earlier. Keep invoices and specialty bids organized. Then separate the claim into 3 categories. First, items already included correctly. Second, legitimate items that appear missing or incorrect and can be supported. Third, things that are not covered, are not applicable, or cannot be supported by the available evidence. A professional supplement is just as much about knowing what not to request as knowing what to add. Learning Xactimate is valuable, but detailed estimates and supplements take time. Measurements, quantities, line items, pricing, documentation, reports, and revisions all have to be managed. Verisk itself describes roofing estimation as a significant workflow burden because measurement data still has to be translated into estimate line items, quantities, and supporting details. For a roofing company, those hours compete with homeowner meetings, sales follow-up, inspections, production, crew management, and closing new jobs. That is why some contractors build an internal estimating department, while others outsource part or all of the Xactimate work. Either way, the writer needs accurate project information, good field documentation, and good estimating work together. That is where American Roof Supplements comes in. We prepare professional residential Xactimate estimates and supplements for roofing contractors. You provide the available claim information, measurements, photographs, carrier paperwork, bids, reports, and other supporting documentation. We prepare the estimate or supplement, keep the file organized, and provide free revisions when supported changes are needed. Your documents can also be branded with your roofing company's logo. If you have never worked with us before, your first estimate or supplement is completely free. There is no contract and no minimum number of jobs. A residential Xactimate estimate is $50. If we prepare that estimate and the job is approved, the follow-up supplement is $100. A standalone residential supplement is $150. Eligible residential work is backed by our 72-hour turnaround guarantee, excluding Sundays and major holidays, or the service is free. To get started, schedule an appointment through the booking widget at AmericanRoofSupplements.com or call or text 469-515-8435. We'll discuss the claim, explain what information is needed, and guide you through the next step. If you remember only one thing from this video, remember this. Xactimate is the estimating tool. The supplement is the documented correction. Start with the carrier's scope. Compare it with the actual project. Understand what the existing line items include. Document legitimate differences. Use accurate quantities and appropriate operations. Support what you request. And never confuse a scope correction with a coverage change. Do that consistently, and Xactimate stops looking like a wall of codes and starts becoming what it is supposed to be: a structured way to explain the work. Subscribe for more roofing, insurance, Xactimate, supplementing, and contractor sales updates. You focus on homeowners, crews, production, and sales. Leave the computer work to us.